Hello everyone, my name is Tyler Krompiatek from Coley at Canisius College. Today we are going to focus on special access. The process for special access is similar across D2L, but where you are most likely to need to use this feature is in quizzes, and that will be the case study for this video. Special access can be used for students who require extra time or other accommodations, or perhaps there was a personal matter that your student needed to take care of and missed the exam or assignment. Whatever the reason, instead of making a new quiz or assignment just for the student, you can use the same quiz or assignment and give them special access to it. To get started, go to the quizzes section in your course, and then click on the quiz that you want to give this special access feature to. You can either click on the quiz name or use the drop-down to the right and click on Edit. In either case, you will be taken to this familiar quiz editor page, and then from there, click on the Restrictions tab. A quick note here about hide from users and special access. Special access can override almost everything in the Restrictions tab, so the dates, the timings, and so on, except for hide from users. Hide from users is a global option that affects every student regardless of access rights. Now with that out of the way, we can go and actually look at special access. We need to scroll down until we find the section titled Special Access, which is just after the timing section right here, and is the last option in the list. The first thing you need to do is choose the type of access, whether you want to allow the selected users special access to the quiz or allow only special access users to see the quiz. Allowing selected users with special access to this quiz will allow users to have special accommodations that other users may not have, but it will allow other students to take this quiz. Allowing only users with special access to see this quiz will prevent other students from seeing this quiz and therefore taking this quiz, and will only allow those students with special access to take this quiz. After we choose the type of access, we need to click on Add Users to Special Access. In the web page that follows, called Special Access Properties, you can change the due dates, availability, the timing, and attempts. Attempts is unique to quizzes only. Note as well, if any of these already have information from the previous Restrictions tab, it will import that information by default. You can edit these options in Special Access without having to worry about any changes happening to the original due dates, availability, or timing. The first thing that I'll do is I'll change the due date here. I can click on the date right here and change the specific date. I'll change it so that it's at the 28th. And I can give the student a couple of extra hours by clicking on the time right here. I'll give them until 3 p.m. I can also change the start date and the due date by doing the same thing. The due date doesn't really do anything to restrict the student from seeing the quiz, it's just for the D2L calendar. The end date is what will prevent the students from accessing the quiz after that specific amount of time. So I'll go to the 28th and set it to 3 p.m. as well. Next, we can change the timing. Having no changes selected will keep with the default timing that was set up for the initial quiz. We can change the recommended time limit by selecting recommended time limit, or the enforced time limit by selecting enforced time limit. Recommended time limit is simply just that. You recommend a time that a student should have on a quiz, and there are no penalties given if they do not complete the quiz within the time limit. Enforced time limit is similar to recommended time limit, except that after a certain amount of time, something happens based on your options below. So I'll give the student an extra hour to complete the quiz, so 180 minutes total. I can assign the student an alternative grace period, which gives them some additional time before the quiz is flagged as exceeded. I can also assign an alternative behavior for exceeding the time limit. I can allow the student to continue working, prevent the student from making further changes, or allow the student to continue working but score the attempt as 0 automatically after the extended deadline. Since I want this to be the same, I'll just deselect this alternative right here. Finally, I can change the number of attempts as well. I'll click on Override Attempts Allowed and change it from 2 to 3. I'll have to make sure that I hit Apply so that if I make any other changes, it will stay. Next, we need to actually grab our special access user or users. By default, you are viewing the list by user, which is essentially the full class. Unfortunately, you also see the admin accounts, which can be identified by having the word admin in them. You can safely ignore these accounts. If you have groups, you can change the view by clicking on user next to view by and choosing groups, and then hitting apply. And then you have an option to change which group that you have. I only have two, which are in a category called mode. And then I can hit apply to change this list. My list won't change as much because I only have a few students in this course. If you have a much larger course, that will be a little more helpful. I'll change it back to users, hit apply again. If you have a large set of students to select, you can select the checkbox to the left of the students' names. However, if you are having a hard time finding a student, you can also search for them. I would recommend clicking on Show Search options so that you can see the specific ways that you can search for a student. You can search for a student by their first name, their last name, or their org-defined ID, which is basically their Canisius College student ID number. I'll do a quick search. I'll say Bell, for example. Even though I had Bell Poodle selected earlier, it's not selected now, and if I click on Bell Poodle again, and let's say I search for Boston Terrier, click on that, and then clear my search, and then scroll down, I can see that despite having Bell Poodle selected at one point and Boston Terrier selected at one point, they are not selected now. So what I would recommend doing instead of using the D2L built-in search function, I would recommend hitting Control F if you're on PC or Command F if you are on Mac, and searching for the student's first name, last name, or org ID instead. So I'll do Bell Terrier, and we'll do KP student as well, which is right there. Note that this is better used with the full list rather than any other restricted list. When you're done, hit on the blue Add Special Access button in the lower left. And when you do that, you'll go back to the restrictions page. And then if I scroll down, all the way back down to the Special Access section, I can see a quick summary of what I did. So apparently it did not save timings when I did that originally, so I guess I'm going to have to go in and edit it. So I can edit special access for this specific user by clicking on the pencil, or I can delete special access. Let's say, for example, I accidentally added Remy, who didn't need special access. I can click on the X here to remove it. I'll click on the pencil to edit it for Bell here. I'll go and give Bell an extra hour, change the due date to the 28th, and same here. Go to the enforced time limit, and because we gave them an extra hour, I'll give them an extra hour here as well. I'll click on Add Special Access, and that should have edited it for Bell as well, which it seems to have. I'll quickly do it for KP Student as well. Add Special Access, and scroll down, and there we go. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, please contact us at helpdesk@canisius.edu. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.